great thing with Uber, is that you work on your own time. You have 10 hours a day. Well, not even 10 hours a day. You can work for 10 hours of driving time, then you must rest for 6 hours. Then you can work for 10 hours of driving time. It doesn't mean you can work 10 hours in a row. You can work for 1 minute, turn off, and come back tomorrow if you want to. You can work for 8 hours, turn off for 2 hours, come back and do your last 2 hours. You can work for 4 hours, and that's it for the week. That's it for the day. You know, you make your own choices. Obviously, you just work to how much money you really want to make. You know what I mean? I've done plenty jobs in my time before where I don't think I was valued for who I am, valued for the skills I have, for the knowledge I have, for how smart I am. You know what I mean? A lot of people are underappreciated out there. Sometimes you need credentials to show that you're capable of doing stuff. Knowing that you can do it yourself is not enough. They want to see that you can do it on paper, because why waste time bringing somebody in, to be honest, who doesn't have it on paper and seeing if they can do it. You know, maybe 50% of the time the person can do it without having the right credentials behind them, but as an employer, why would you want to waste your time on that? You know what I mean? Like, hiring somebody costs money. You know, giving someone time costs money. Time is money, as they say. You know what I mean? And as an Uber driver, you recognize that. Trust me, time is money. You recognize that in whatever job you do. Working in Tesco, time is money. You trade an hour of your day for whatever Tesco pay you. If they pay you £12 an hour, you're trading an hour, 8 hours on a shift, or sometimes you're trading 8.5, 9 hours, and half an hour to an hour of that is unpaid because it's your lunch. And you wish you could skip that part and, you know, eat a little sandwich on the job, because you realize your time is not being valued to what you want it to be valued at. You know, £12 an hour is not much. It definitely is not much. You know, we spend £12 on a Deliveroo meal. We spend £15 on a Deliveroo. You go Five Guys, it's like £12 for the burger. You know, something like that anyway. So, you know, we must find ways to trade less time for money, or make more money for our time. And Uber allows you to do such thing. You know, if you're making £30 an hour on Uber, after you pay tax, you're making £20 plus an hour, which is quite decent compared to most jobs. Most jobs won't allow it. Just a moment ago, as I was going over the bridge, on the right-hand side is a place I used to work at. It's called BCA. If some of you are familiar with that, it's a automotive transportation and storage company that basically transports cars around the UK and probably Europe as well. They deliver vehicles to stores, so they do management of the new cars that basically come into the country. I used to work there years ago now, probably about 8 years ago now, maybe. And that company there, I used to work there. It was minimum wage, through an agency as well. Most of the jobs I'd done in my lifetime was through an agency. I didn't see many companies valuing who I was or what I had to give at all. And I think I'm quite decent. I think I'm quite well educated. Other people say so. It's not just me saying so. I've been able to do many things by myself. You know, I've started a company by myself. I've run that company for over a year and a half now. It seems about a year and a half. I won't say we're doing amazing, but we're not falling behind. You know, when I say we, I mean me. I'm not falling behind. The company's doing okay. It's still the start of something, and I'm gonna make it better. And you know, I've always found found ways to make money, to keep myself more than afloat. You know, I've invested in my future, whether that is with knowledge or with assets, and I will continue to do so. Uber will allow you to do that as well. You know, working for that car company, BCA, I think back then, 7-8 years ago, minimum wage was probably around £8-9 or something like that an hour. You know, I was working 8-hour shifts with an unpaid lunch in order to just make a little, what, 60, let's say it was £8 an hour, let's make a little £64 in a day. We look at that now, I think that's ridiculous, because with minimum wage, minimum we're getting is about, for an 8-hour shift, is just under 90 quid. It's crazy how £64 a day used to be enough. But even 90 quid, I can make that in 3 hours in this job. Well, not including the tax, but do you know what I mean? So, you know, I used to move cars around when they come off the ships, all sorts of cars. It's a very nice experience because you got to drive brand new cars all the time, learn how to drive vans, get your driving skills up, which is why one of the reasons I'm such a decent driver. I'm a great driver, let me be honest, I'm a great driver. Also, you know, all my delivery jobs made me a great driver. But those sort of jobs, you know, it's easy to get stuck in. I remember there was a guy there who had you know, he started there, he was around a lot of people that's been in this place for years, or, you know, they don't. So some people, those kind of jobs aren't a stepping stone, they just be there, do you know what I mean? They're trying to get really hired from the agency, trying to get a proper contract with the company and be there for years. And this guy, he had an Alfa Romeo Giulietta, decent car, he was a young guy as well, probably like 20, 21, but he was kind of the ones, he just come across soft all the time, so the guys would always joke on him and stuff like that. I never really joked to him, but I guess I was around the conversation. I didn't defend him. I'm not going to defend people that ain't going to defend themselves. Unless it's a crazy situation that they need defending, do you know what I mean? It's just banter. Men need banter in order to become stronger, that's for sure. And he went and, you know, all the banter on him, he went and tried to make himself have some status amongst the men and got himself a C class on finance. And I just never understood why. Like, you earn £8 an hour like us, you know, why are you getting a C class on finance? Like, it's crazy. I'm gonna pause this video here anyway. Okay, so you saw where I worked before making a little money. Now let's talk about how you can become an Uber driver. So firstly, you've got to have a driver's license, of course, right? You've got to have a driver's license, preferably a clean driver's license. I'm not too sure if they accept anyone with points. I mean, this isn't just about being an Uber driver, this is about becoming a taxi driver in general. So you have to apply for a private hire vehicle license. So you can't have things like drug drive on your license. If you do, it must be many years ago, and it may affect you getting a license, I don't know. I had a discrepancy in my record many years ago, and they called me about it once before I could have my license, and we spoke about it, and they were like, oh, that's fine, you know. It's nothing to do with driving, it wasn't a driving offence, but they just got to do their due diligence and making sure that they're not just hiring anybody to get behind the wheel and drive around the public, because as a taxi driver, I mean, you are like a person who's got to hold up a certain stature. So getting a private hire vehicle license, must have a, I would say, clean driving license, or as close to clean as possible. Then you've got to have your license for, I would say, I'm not 100% too sure, you would just have to Google it, depending on what city you're in, but I think my local council, you've got to have a license for a few years. So you got to have held your license for a few years. Then I applied to my local council, which in Bristol there are quite a few local councils. We've got Bristol City Council, we've got South Gloucestershire Council, you've got Bath and North East Somerset Council, you've got North Somerset Council as well. So that's 4 different councils you can get your taxi license with. I believe all you have to do is have a Bristol address for each of those for it to work, because Bristol falls under 4 different councils, different areas. So you apply to them, you go and just, you know, search taxi license, private hire vehicle license, Bath and North East Somerset Council, and then it will give you the direction to the website where it will explain to you the things that you will need, the criteria you need to meet. It will also give you an email address to send your basically a few details to, so it can start your application process. What they should do then is get in contact with you to arrange a sit down with you, which only takes a few minutes. I believe they do this just to make sure you are who you say you are, and you're not trying to get a private hire vehicle license on behalf of somebody else, because there are people who don't even speak English who want a private hire vehicle license, and obviously not being able to speak English is a piece of criteria that needs to be met. 7 people in England, you need to be able to speak to your customers. So they will check that when you go to this meeting, they'll check that you can speak English, and then you got a clean driver license and you can present your driver license, and then they'll move on to the next steps, and the next steps will be you then taking some of their courses. So I think the first one was like a knowledge test. You've got to pay at that meeting as well. I paid about 280 quid for these courses. So it was a knowledge test. You go down, you do about 3 hours of learning. There was 2 of us in a room with a teacher who taught us a few things around taxis and people and the whole process, what you can do, what you can't do, the do's and don'ts basically. A few things around maths and locations, just a few common sense sort of questions, to be honest. Then afterwards it's followed by a test after those few hours of learning. 1 second, I got a job, bear with me. So go in because the job is around the corner there. It's not gonna work, Jesus. Hate when Uber does that, man. Give you a job and you're in the wrong lane at the time. Really, I should be parked up on the side receiving my jobs, but how can I always do that? It's ridiculous. So you do your after you do your knowledge test, you then go on to like a child human trafficking safeguarding type course. Once you've completed that course, you then go on to doing things like your medical exam, making sure you have decent eye health and are in decent health. Then you go on to doing things like doing a DBS, making sure your criminal record isn't too bad. Then you go on to doing things like a driving test. So your DBS you're going to pay for, that's another like 60, 70 quid or something like that. Your medical, that's if you do it with your local doctor, it's going to cost upwards of £100. If you do it with one of those, if you just basically Google in your local area medical test, driver's medical test, you'll find someone offering one for about 50 quid. It's normally like a doctor who's sparing their Saturday afternoon to see 10 to 20 people, make £50 a person real quick, and pass them on a medical. It's not too hard, to be honest. Quick eye test there as well. My friend did it, he did it long way, he paid 120 with his doctor and he paid for an eye test and all that. That way is so long-winded and such a waste of time, to be honest. So always do driver medical, search for that online. They're in competition with each other, all these doctors trying to make spare cash. So that was about 50 odd quid. What else did I have to pay for? Obviously you pay for your driving test as well. They'll give you some approved places that they do driving tests with. I think in Bristol there's a place called Blue Lamp that I did mine with. Took about a month to get that. Initially as well, just to get the first initial meeting after sending that email off, took about 8 months from my local council. They had a huge backlog. So if you're wanting to become a taxi driver, don't think it's going to happen overnight. It does take a little bit of time. It could take up to a year. So don't quit your job just yet. What else did I have to pay for? You have to pay for your badge as well. Once you've passed all the initial tests, your medical, blah blah blah, your DBS. You've got to pay for your actual badge that you're gonna wear, basically your taxi license. I can't remember how much that cost. And then once you've done all that, you're a legal taxi driver. The next thing you've got to do is sort yourself out of a car to drive. And there's a few ways to do this. You can rent a taxi, because obviously in Bristol as well, cars, and I don't think in London they've got to be plated as an Uber, but in Bristol you've got to have plates on your cars, a taxi plate. So they've got to go through a fitness test. First, you've got to take your car into the council. They will basically do an MOT on it, a quick one. They will say if it's fit for taxiing or not. The car's got to be less than 5 years or less old. So right now we're in 2025. So 2020 plate is the oldest car they're accepting. Obviously it's got to meet requirements. Can't be 3-door, can't be a supercar, can't be like an M3 or something. You know what I mean? An M5 or a C63 Mercedes. Plus, why would you want to taxi in that anyway? Once you've done that, so if you bought a car and you have your own car already, that's within the last 5 years, you could just take your car to do all that, or you can rent a car from someone who's already done all this and they just sign it over to you on an agreement to use it for work. Once you've done all that, so if you bought your own car and you're doing that process, then once you've passed the MOT test, the fitness test, then you will pay for a taxi vehicle license, to put a vehicle license on your car. And once you do that, you attach those badges to your car and you are on the roads ready to go. Yeah, so once you get your car on the road, you will then have to take all your documents, your bits and pieces, and then you will have to sign up to Uber. You download the Uber driving app and you sign up to Uber. Once you're all signed up to Uber, you will then be able to once you've signed up to Uber as well and you've uploaded all your documents, you've got to upload your driving license, proof of car MOT, get your insurance on your car as well, prove that your car is insured, upload that document, upload your vehicle taxi license. And once you've uploaded all those documents, upload your logbook as well to prove that you are the owner of the car, or at least have permission to drive the car. Once you've done all that sort of stuff, you will still not be able to log on to the Uber app or start driving even. You still won't be able to drive. What you got to do next is you then got to go down to an Uber hub and bring some of your documents again with you. I can't remember exactly which ones, but they will tell you. Just bring everything that you put into the app anyway. That's what I did. Bring everything with me. And then they will allow you to now start using the app and making money. And yeah, you go for it. It's actually quite fun, it's a bit nerve-wracking to go and do your first job, because you're like just picking up strangers. It's something that's you're not used to. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, once you do get a job or two under your belt, you're like, oh my days, look, the numbers are just adding up over here. This one was £7, this one was £12, this one was £5. Some jobs are under £5, and it's really ridiculous when jobs that are under £5 are lost. It's really ridiculous that the jobs that are under £5 can sometimes be over 10 minutes. Always reject those. Never do a job that is under £5 for that takes more than 10 minutes. Or like for me, if it's £4 something, it's got to be like 9 minutes. Do you know what I mean? Max. Again, it's 50p per minute you're trying to earn here. So yeah, never accept those jobs. Always reject those jobs. I mean, it's up to you. Someone's got to do them. But for me, it's you're gonna make bad money per hour, and you're not gonna think Uber is a good way to make money. Oh my god, I've never seen so much dead ends, especially without warning. Back where I started. Yeah, so I'm trying to give you help. I want to show you some examples of jobs that you should and shouldn't accept anyway. I'm going to show you some examples. I've been taking some screenshots of ridiculous jobs. I've got screenshots of good jobs. I mean, I've done jobs where they've given me £25 for a reserve trip to drive 6 minutes to pick someone up, drive 8 minutes to drop them off. I've done Uber XL trips that's taken 30 minutes to do, and I've been paid like 50 quid for it. It's nice, you know, very nice. You know, I've done, my longest trip was actually, was it my London trip? Quite possible it was my London trip actually. I did a trip to, first of all, it was from Bristol to Reading. It was like 60 miles, it was like 80 quid. To be honest, that was not good enough, but it was a quiet day, midweek, so I did it. On the way back, it happened to be no more trains running, so on the way back, I was driving past Swindon. I get a search job from Swindon. It was maybe 120 quid or something like that, to drop someone to Paddington Station, London, which was about 80 miles from where I was, or less. And I did that. It wasn't a great surge price, to be honest. I should have took a better job, but I was just, you know, I sold 100 plus and I haven't really done much 100 plus jobs before. One time, annoyingly, I saw a great job, but I had to go do a photo shoot in the studio. I had someone booked in for a photo shoot, and the photo shoot started within the hour, and I was in the centre of Bristol. I saw an Uber XL job for 1 hour and 25 minutes to Cardiff, which was only 1 hour and 25 minutes because of the traffic. Normally it would have been about 45 minutes. And it was like £115, and I know that the drive back would have been 45 minutes, 30 minutes before I got a job, you know what I mean? And that was a great price. I was pissed I missed out on that day. But Uber XL is lucrative. Don't sleep on Uber XL, trust me. That's that. I'm not too sure. I'm going to start to ask my friends. Well, I don't have many taxi driver friends, but I got a few. I don't have many taxi driver friends that actually do the 10-hour shifts like I do. So it's a bit hard to see how much they would make per hour, but maybe I'll see how much they make per 4 hours on a certain day or something. I'm going to do some research. But I know for a fact the XL allows me to make more money than they do. So don't sleep on the XL, but no matter what city you're in, people need XLs out of convenience. Remember that, XLs out of convenience. All this Uber comfort and Uber exec is out of want, not necessity. You know what I mean? But yeah, so when you start doing your jobs, do your due diligence on what you accept and what you don't. Some people also, the rule of thumb that everyone goes by mainly in Bristol, you know, I'm in the Uber app and they're always talking about it and complaining about it, is they want £2 per mile on a job. So if a job is 10 miles, they want 20 quid. If a job is 2 miles, they want at least 4. Well, you get more than 4 quid anyway, but you know what I mean? If a job is 6 miles, they want 12 quid minimum. This job I'm accepting now, Uber XL, 15 minutes, about 3 or 4 miles. Was it, how much was they paying me? Let me see. 13 quid for it. I gotta be in the left lane now. But yes, you can't beat that sort of money with Uber XL, see what I mean? £13 for 15 minutes, it's almost £1 a minute. You're not getting that on standard Uber X jobs unless it is peak time. Like on Saturdays in town is, yeah, yesterday, 12 minutes, £12 on the Uber X job. Uber X jobs were paying as much as the Uber XL jobs. And that happens sometimes, but that's not all the time. But yeah, the £2 per mile thing, a lot of drivers say they this, that and the other. It's hard to get £2 per mile. If you was to sit there and make sure you get £2 per mile on each job, you're not gonna have a lot of jobs that day. You know, maybe they have some leniency and they're like, all right, £1.85 is good. But you gotta have a base that you know what, £2 minimum is mad. Again, I go by the 50p per minute and I try not to do too much mileage per job, but if I have to, I have to. You buy your car as a workhorse, put that mileage on it, it's cool. Think about it. If you can make £1,000 per week, that's £52,000 per year off of your vehicle, and you know, I paid £13,000 for my vehicle, then no brainer. Like, I could buy another one next year. Do you know what I mean? Buy another one next year. It's absolutely fine. And that's me just putting like 30,000 miles on my vehicle. So I could do that for a few years, 3 years in a row, make 150k of £13,000 vehicle. Or I could do more hours during the week, and you know, it's nothing. Don't worry about the mileage too much. You know, don't be doing nothing crazy though. Like that London trip, 80 miles for 120, didn't like it. That Reading trip, 60 miles for 80 quid, didn't like it. One time I did Uber XL job from the airport. It was an hour and 12 minutes or something to Minehead. Is it Minehead? Something like that. Somewhere down them TA postcode ways, Taunton ways. And it was, I think it was like 120 quid for 60 miles, which is, yeah, it's quite decent to be honest. But remember, when you're out there, you could only work within your jurisdiction, so you cannot pick no one up in London to bring back to Bristol. I can't bring no one back from Reading, do you know what I mean? Like, my app only works out to Swindon and those places. But funnily enough, when I was in Minehead or whatever it is, right, my app worked in the TA postcodes. So that's down like, that's like Somerset side, so I'm allowed to drive in the Somerset region as well. I don't know how far it stretched to, but I had a job come through when I was there, and they were very shocked that they got an Uber down there. Very shocked. They don't really have any Ubers operating. And they gave me a cash tip as well, that was nice. But after that, there was no jobs. So I spent the next hour and a half driving back to Bristol. That was nice. I got some fish and chips. I was by the seaside. I saw beautiful views. But yeah, just be mindful about where you're traveling to when you accept these jobs. You do not want to be taken too far out of your driving zone. You know, sometimes you could be taken extremely far out of your driving zone. You might have a trip up to Scotland. You know, it might be friggin' 8-hour drive up to Scotland, or up to Kent. Let's say Kent. Let's say Kent's a 4-hour drive away, right? You might be thinking, oh, Kent, 4-hour drive. They're gonna pay me £200 for this. Yeah, sounds good. Sounds good. You know, £50 an hour. But you're driving back for 4 hours now, and you got no passengers. So what now? Now it's £25 an hour, isn't it? You may not eat into your driving time, but you're certainly not going to come back and put in another 6 hours of work after driving for 8 hours. You're tired. So be mindful.